Arizona community, this is Chris. I've got a recent music acquisition video to do, sort of a vinyl finds if you count, you know, scrolling through lots of screens online as finding stuff, but you know, anyway, and then in the near future I've got to do a 1962 classical music update. I noticed that Sounds Strange, Rob had just produced his 1962 video, and even though my last video, the opening screen said 1962, it was really the 1961. So I'll be getting to that in the near future, but for now, music update, and most of these are sort of piano-based jazz albums, but not all of them, but that's the majority. So starting with Paul Bley Trio. This is album Closer, 1966. Paul Bley, Barry at Shoal, spelled with an O instead of a U, and on percussion, and Steve Swallow on bass. So this is on ESP disc. So Paul Bley Trio, Closer. And here's one that I wasn't aware of until I found it. Giorgio, Gaslini, and Anthony Braxton, 4 pieces. So piano, saxophone, basically. This is on the that label there. Dischi, Della, Quercia. So Anthony Braxton, Giorgio Gaslini. I've got several solo albums by him. Of course, I've got a couple solo albums by Anthony Braxton too, so I'll try to put more details in the notes, but a couple of these are going to be ones that other people have shown, so I'll just kind of breeze by them. I think this was one of them. Anthony Braxton, Trio and Duet. This is on the Sackville label. Non-jazz, Anthony Greif. Oh, sorry, Randy Greif. Bacteria and Gravity. So he's sort of a sound manipulator, found sounds, field recordings. There's the label. There's the flip side. I think this is the first vinyl that I've got by him, but I've got some CDs and other recordings. Bacteria and Gravity. Then some solo piano. Howard Riley, live in Vilnius. This is a 2 LP set. Number 88 of, I'm not sure how many. I think this is on the NoBusiness label from Eastern Europe. Howard Riley. And another Howard Riley. 10/11/12, which is the date of the recording. This is also on the NoBusiness label. So some more solo piano improvisation. Howard Riley 10, 11, 12. And then Dallas Smith, Stellar Voyage. Showing this makes me feel sort of like Carm at Gorvo 31 or whatever his number is. Dallas Smith, Stellar Voyage. There's the back side. This is on the Rising Sun label. So original compositions performed on electronic and acoustic instruments. So, seems very appropriate if you're going out to Arizona, to some secluded area. And a similar one, Dallas Smith and Susan Mazer, Inner Rhythms. It's stamped as a promotional copy. Inner Rhythms, so more electronic and acoustic soundscapes. Some more solo piano, Randy Weston, The Healers. This was sold really cheap because it had an edge warp, which I can see, oops, right there. But solo piano on Cora Records, Randy Weston. But it was so cheap that I couldn't turn it down in case I could salvage the record. Or maybe I could salvage all but 2 tracks of the record. I'm not sure. And then Stanley Cowell. Musa, Ancestral Streams, another solo piano album. This one was difficult to find at a reasonable price. And I don't know if this is a reasonable price yet, but Strata East. This looks good, but there might be a problem with track 1. But as a result of getting that, I ended up with a duplicate copy of just the disc. But this one is in sort of good condition. A lot of surface marks. Some of them are can be felt, but if somebody is really in need of this Stanley Cowell solo piano album, you know, if they want to get in touch with me, you know, probably be glad to share it. And then, you know, more solo piano. Dave Burrell. This one's entitled Only Me. So Dave Burrell, more solo jazz, improvisational piano. And Dave Burrell and Stanley Cowell, so a piano duo with this obi strip that you see there. Same label as the Dave Burrell solo album. So more solo piano, except there's two people soloing. And then this one here is benefit of El Pecho Feo, Cheap Heat. He showed Michael Smith. Not sure if he showed this particular album, but it might have been it. But you know, more solo piano on the Red Record label with that you know, nice pen and ink cover artwork there. And then Michael P. Dawson recently showed this in his last video, I think. Anthony Davis, Variations in Dreamtime. So, solo piano on Indian Navigation. So I picked that up, but I also picked up this other one, which was a duet. Anthony Davis and James Newton. So piano and flute on the Moore's Record label. And the last four, Dennis Moorman, not Mormon as in the religion, Circles of Destiny. This is also on the Indian Navigation label. Solo piano by Dennis Moorman. Hadn't heard of him before, but when I saw it and the description, that was enough to convince me. Air, offshoot of Art Ensemble of Chicago. Airmail is the title of this album. Trio on the Black Saint label. And Steve Miller and Lowell Coxell. This This is related to Canterbury jazz. Steve Miller, brother to Phil Miller, if I'm remembering all the Millers correctly. He was in Caravan, Mr. Miller, for Waterloo Lilies. Also in a band called Delivery. And Lowell Coxell played with several people on saxophone. So some Canterbury related jazz. And then the final album is a duo piano sax, Mike Osborne on sax and Stan Tracy on piano. This is called Original on the Cadillac label. And there's the vinyl. I've picked up several. I think I've got two other Stan Tracy, Mike Osborne collaborations that I picked up recently. Very good duo on that saxophone and piano. So that'll do it for this Final Finds. Shout out to Straight to Ale. This is a Gorilla Knot, which is a take on Astronaut, or sending monkeys into space. Huntsville is the home to the Space and Rocket Center, Marshall Space Flight Center. So very strong orientation for outer space and the space industry. So Gorilla Knot, which is a double IPA beer. So cheers, everybody. And I'll be back soon with classical music 1962, or in my case, mostly classical. In Sound Strange case, all classical. So, see you later.